Today's show is brought to you by Policy Genius. Well, summer's almost over, and that means responsibility is about to take over once again, right? No more just lounging by the beach. We've got back to school. We've got to start taking care of stuff. And the reality is, you need to get your life insurance done now. With Policy Genius, you can get free quotes in minutes. I've been a huge fan of Policy Genius for years because of how easy it is to compare all in one place. I saw the effects, by the way, of not having good life insurance when my father passed away just last year. And my mom was left struggling to pick up the pieces. If only he had prepared with the proper life insurance with my mom, then she wouldn't have had to deal with this after he passed away. And so if someone relies on your financial support, whether it's a child, an aging parent, or even a business partner, you need life insurance. And Policy Genius makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. And you could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. It's so easy to get started today. First, just head over to policygenius.com/morninginvest, and in minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need. And you can compare personalized quotes to find your best price. And when you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all of the paperwork and scheduling for free. Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies as well, and they don't add on extra fees that you don't know are there. That's the kind of services that earned Policy Genius thousands of 5-star reviews across Trustpilot and Google. So head on over to policygenius.com/morninginvest to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Do you have a junk food addiction? Do you know anyone that does have a junk food addiction? I do. Like, if you're an American, you pretty much know somebody who's got a junk food addiction, right? Or who's eating crappy processed foods on a regular basis. When you go to the grocery store, most people don't like go around the outskirts and go to the greenery section, right? And buy like vegetables and fresh fruits and stuff like that. Most people are going right to like the processed food aisle, right? To get the macaroni and cheese, the highly processed foods, and the chips and the candies and all that kind of stuff, and the sodas and that huge industry that makes so much money. A new report out this morning is really troubling on America's fast food addiction. And we wrote about it in the newsletter this morning. I hope you subscribe to our daily newsletter if you go to morninginvest.com. But the new study this morning we talked about comes to us from the Journal of American Medical Association. It shows that 67% of calories consumed by children and adolescents comes from junk food. 67% of your calories comes from highly processed crap in the United States. Okay, I'm talking about the United States now. Junk food is defined as ultra-processed foods, meaning frozen pizza, microwavable meals, chips, cookies, chicken nuggets. The study published in the Journal of American Medical Association studied 33,000 children. This isn't just like 200 kids. 33,000. Ages 2 to 19 years old. And the authors correlated their findings with a steady increase in obesity in children, as well as cardiovascular disease and certain cancers later in life. So they found that over the years of studying this is the largest study ever done on processed food and how it affects our bodies. Correlation between obesity in children and then cardiovascular disease and cancers later in life. In 1999, the same study found that 61% of children's diets were made up of junk food, meaning that it's now grown 6% in the United States in the last 2 decades. And everyone made fun of, all the right-wing television stations made fun of Michelle Obama for wanting to have have a garden at the White House and eat fresh vegetables. And I mean, it was ridiculous. I remember like right-wing television stations were like, you know what, Michelle Obama, stay out of my kitchen. Stay out of my kitchen. If I want to eat a big juicy burger and chicken nuggets for lunch, I can do that. That's my American right, they would say. Yeah, sure is. Right? Just like it's your right to not get vaccinated and die, it's your right to get cardiovascular disease, have hardening of the arteries, and get cancer as a result of it. And then who pays for that? The entire system pays for that because, overrun with that type of medical care. So the largest growth in junk food diets was in Black, non-Hispanic youth, according to the data. Mexican-American youths actually had a relatively low percentage of processed food in their diets, which the authors attributed to more home cooking in the Hispanic families. Are any of you Hispanic watching the show right now? Can you say that that's the case in your family, that you probably cook more at home so you're not eating all of this processed crap? I'm very close to a Mexican family, and said we just never grew up eating this crap. Like, we didn't go to like McDonald's. We didn't go to Burger King. We didn't go to those places. And when I would, it would taste funny to me. Like, we were used to eating fresh food. And so we just wouldn't eat that stuff. Family education, the family education level in the study also did not seem to be a factor, meaning that this is a pattern for both educated and uneducated parents alike. It doesn't matter if they're wealthy, educated, it doesn't matter. So given that processed foods weaken the immunity and the whole foods strengthen it, researchers suggest that now, say during a pandemic, is a good time to actually think about meaningful changes to school lunch programs and getting rid of those vending machines in schools. Like, they don't have that in European schools where you can literally walk down and see a vending machine that's filled with garbage. You know why? Because the companies pay the schools, and so they get these things shoved in there, soda machines and all this crap. Amazing. It's not surprising. The biggest angle on this, though, regardless of the fact that we are addicted to processed food in the United States and we have one of the worst diets in the world, is that the U.S. government is essentially subsidizing the junk food addiction. And that's the main point of the story that I want to bring you today. New study claims that Americans who consume federally subsidized products are 37% more likely to be obese. Yeah, while in the White House, First Lady Michelle Obama made it her duty to set the country's youth on a healthier path. Still, nearly 75% of the country is overweight or obese, with men, women, and children gleaning the majority of their calories from foods like pizza, pasta, and ice cream. And the U.S. government has had a larger hand in America's junk food addiction than previously thought. The U.S. has long supported the production of ingredients that go into junk foods, like corn, soybeans, and meat that get turned into sweeteners, industrial oils, and processed foods. So, again, as according to the New York Times says, they were also significantly more likely to have belly fat, abnormal cholesterol, high levels of blood sugar, and CRP, a marker of inflammation. Though it would be difficult to pin the entire obesity epidemic on the government, especially in a week when Kellogg's has been trying to pass off Frosted Flakes as vegetables, which is the truth. Do you remember that? Researchers believe the study is consistent with previous reports that claim that subsidized foods tend to be of poor quality and ultimately harmful to one's health, and taxpayers are paying the privilege of making our country sick. Because the U.S. subsidies program started to help faltering farmers, and what are they supporting? They're supporting the exact crap that goes into these commodity crops. Right? Agricultural policies are not aligned with the public health goals. So, folks, you know, that's the thing. We are subsidizing. The United States taxpayers are subsidizing these awful, I mean, the fact that why do you think high fructose corn syrup exists? And the corn lobby, why is that subsidized by the federal government? Why are you paying for this stuff to be in sugars and pastas? Like, why does American pasta have high fructose corn syrup in it? Do you ever go to Italy? Do you ever have fresh pasta? Where is the high fructose corn syrup ingredient when an Italian is making fresh pasta for dinner? Tell me. Why are we shoving this stuff into all of our foods and making us the fattest country in the world and the unhealthiest country in the world? And government just sits back, and we're meant to be ignorant. And that's why I want to do this story, so we can fight back against these people. You know, talk to your senators, talk to your members of Congress, and tell them to stop supporting the subsidies of this crap. Wouldn't it be amazing if they supported broccoli and they supported locally sourced foods?
Just think about like cornfields. You know, I grew up in Indiana, where there's just corn everywhere, and how much of that like high quality agricultural soil is actually being used on subsidized corn that's just for corn syrup or ethanol. It's not even like vegetable food production for even cattle to eat. It's all just used for for the corn syrup or ethanol plants, and it's like how much of our top agricultural land is being used to subsidize that junk food industry?
Almost all of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this data. Smaller farms that grow fruits and vegetables are often left out in the cold when it comes to government money, while producers of commodity crops rake in the majority of the cash. They make the money. Billions of dollars in support that goes out every year. Kellogg's can get some money, right? Like when Kellogg's wants to say, hey, cereal is a vegetable. Cereal is a vegetable, according to Fruit Loops.
Didn't Congress vote it's like 5 or 10 years ago, but didn't they actually pass something that made ketchup and essentially pizza when talking about school lunches, made those classified as a serving of vegetables?
Yeah, exactly. So the ketchup lobby or whatever, and by the way, ketchup has corn syrup in it, so it's the corn syrup lobby. So if you ever read the side of a vegetable ketchup, I think it says corn syrup, right? It says high fructose corn syrup. Yeah. So it's the fructose corn syrup lobby in the United States, and so they got the subsidies. They got that classified as a vegetable, so that could be a part of the food pyramid, and then shoved in schools. So hey, pizza and high fructose corn syrup ketchup in our nation's schools. That's a vegetable, just like apparently French fries are a vegetable, according to the U.S. government. I mean, indeed, a servings of Kellogg's flagship Frosted Flakes contains 10 grams of sugar, while Frosted Mini Wheats delivers 11 grams of sugar, the rough equivalent of 3 Oreo cookies. So they basically want to say that these are, because cereal sales have been dropping. I mean, who eats cereal? I mean, I don't know. My kids have never once had a bowl of cereal, and I'm very proud of that. As a kid, I used to grow up on that crap. I used to sit there and have Cheerios every day, and I'd sprinkle sugar. I had the sugar bowl, in the 1980s, and I'd sprinkle sugar on it, and then at the bottom of the milk, I would scrape the sugar out of at the bottom.
You're grossing me out right now. That makes me feel slightly uncomfortable.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I'm pretty sure I did that too, and so I'm having the visceral response of thinking about it now, like imagining myself eating that sugar milk. I think I would just give up.
Yeah, Bandits Bud says, "Wait a minute, Fruit Loops are real fruit, right?" LOL. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
we had years ago when my daughter was like 6, we went to Indiana, and she didn't grow up on any of that stuff either, like mostly non-processed food. And so we went to Indiana and just like hanging out with my family, that's all everybody ate. And so for days, my daughter just wouldn't eat anything. She just wouldn't. Like, so somebody gave her instant mashed potatoes, and she's like, I don't know what this is. I'm not eating this. So after about a couple days of it, we just had to break down. I had to go to the grocery store and just buy a bunch of like broccoli and carrots and just stuff that she would actually eat. So it's crazy.
That's amazing. But I love that, we talk about when you go to the grocery store, you should only shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. This has become quite a meme, right? That you just go through the vegetable aisle and the fruits and vegetables aisle, like around the outside, right? That's where the healthiest stuff usually is, right? And so that's why Kellogg's, when you would go to like a Meijer's store in the Midwest supermarkets, you would see you'd see the broccoli and you'd see apples and salad greens, and then right there above it, Kellogg's started paying the grocery stores to make sure that Fruit Loops was sitting right there next to the broccoli in the perimeter of the aisle, even though it doesn't belong. It belongs in the cereal aisle with the other sugary foods. But they're basically saying, hey, Fruit Loops, there's some fruit in this. So you gotta buy this crap. Oh my God. America.
Several of our workers ate broccoli at lunch. This is practically a vegetable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They had a choice. They're like, oh, should I have the Fruit Loops or should I eat this head of broccoli? I came to the fruit and vegetable aisle to buy vegetables, and I decided to go home with some sugary cereal. So of course, because sales of cereal have been declining for years, so of course they want to stick this crap in the vegetable aisle to try to drive up sales. But folks, oh my God, I mean, this is what we're facing in the United States. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is the only way we get through this stuff is we get uncomfortable, we report the stories, we report the facts, You can go back to your family, share these stories, share our channel with your loved ones that need a kick in the pants. You've got some uncles and nephews and so forth that refuse to pay attention to reality, refuse to pay attention to the facts. We try to do that here on the show. So thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, joining us here in the chat every day. I really appreciate it. Linda, Arlene, Nathaniel, Kathy, Francis Bragg, Art Sullivan, Jonathan Stewart, Tamala Parker, Betty Boop is here, Yonda Connie. Yeah, Yonda says, I used to eat cereal when I was a kid too. Now I don't even drink milk. Kristen says, it feels really good to discuss real topics. Thank you, Kristen. Your Imperial Majesty.
I will confess to one thing. There's one junk food that I do like. I don't get it very often, but and it's a bit weird. But I like SpaghettiOs with Frank's, and I don't warm it up. I'll just open the can and eat it right out of the can. And so like every like month or two, I'm like, gosh, I really need some of those SpaghettiOs. That's my one weakness. I don't eat ice cream. I don't do sugary foods, but that one junk food, I just every now and then have to have it.
I hear you. We've all got our vices, you know. But the problem is that most people aren't just eating it sporadically, you know. It's subsidized, so they're eating it every day because it's cheap, right? And that's the problem. Is it in poor communities and lower income communities? They don't have access to the fresh vegetables, the foods that are actually helpful that would prevent disease. I really believe that. I mean, it comes like disease to me. I mean, and all the science really just comes right down to diet, inflammation. You know, you eat this stuff. That's where we get our cancers from. That's where we get these diseases from. It's from our diet. And so it's so sad in these communities where they just don't have quality foods. You know, they build a Whole Foods store in rich neighborhoods, but not in Bluefield, West Virginia, unfortunately.
Yeah, what they call food deserts, where like it's not even that people aren't trying to eat healthy. They would have to drive 50 to 100 miles just to find fresh produce.
It's awful. Hey, but they can get cheap ass subsidized government, canned stuff filled with sugar. It keeps us fat and inflamed, and we get cancer.
Cheese.
So sad. So sad. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.